Hello, my name is Stan. Welcome to Love and the Truth. Today we're starting a new series. It's called Spiritual Armor, and it's going to deal with Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18. So today I get to kick it off, and today we're going to be looking at verse 10. So I invite you to turn and follow along as we look at Ephesians 6, verse 10. It says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might." Now, if I were to start a conversation with you and I said, "So finally," you'd be like, "Finally what?" Well, that's a good question. So Paul is wrapping up. He's wrapping up his entire letter to the Ephesians. And so he's putting it on a nice little bow. He's saying, finally. But what is he saying finally to? Let's take a look back. So he wrote this letter to the Ephesians to encourage them. I mean, chapter 1, he talks about all of the immeasurable blessings that we have in Christ. And then, so the first 3 chapters of Ephesians is nothing but doctrine and theology. It's all good meat. It's good teaching. It's good stuff. Then in chapter 4, verse 1, he changes gears. He says, "Therefore, I urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you've been called." So he switches gears. In the last half of the letter, chapters 4 through 6, is all about the practical application of the doctrine that he just gave us in chapters 1 through 3. So he spends the first half of that, chapters 4 and half of 5, he walks through what it looks like to practically apply that. He talks about things like we're called to live in walk and live in unity, walk in love, live in the light, walk in wisdom, be filled with the Spirit. Now, all of those things, they can't be done in isolation. They require us to be in fellowship with one another. They require us to be in relationship with one another. So he actually, I love this, he actually applies the application in the last half of chapter 5 going into chapter 6. He covers the 3 main areas of relationship that we all have and explains what this looks like in the area of marriage between husband and wife, in the area of family between parent and child, and in the area of employment between employer and employee. So he applies what that looks like for us to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which we've been called in those 3 areas, which affect all of us. So he gets done with all of that. And then he takes a deep breath and he writes, so finally, you're going to do that. He says, I want you to be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. He says, finally, be strong. But he didn't say, finally, be strong, period. Because he doesn't want you to be strong in yourself. That's the problem we already have. Our temptation is to go back and be strong in ourselves. He says, no. Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. You got to wait a minute here. How much armor do we have on at this point? We are talking about the spiritual armor. But if you'll notice, we have 0 armor on. Don't miss this. Before you can put any armor on, you must first be strong. If you took a weak man and you put him inside a really strong armor, he's still going to be an ineffective soldier. So we are called to first be strong, but not strong in ourselves. Paul, who wrote this letter to the Ephesians, wrote a very similar letter to the Colossians. And in that letter, he said in chapter 1, verse 29, he says, "For this I toil," meaning my work of ministering to the church. "For this I toil, struggling with all of his energy that he powerfully works within me." Even in that letter, Paul was saying the same thing to them. He was saying, it's not about me, it's not my strength, it's his strength. I work hard with all of his strength. And so back here in this letter, where he's going to be introducing the armor in the coming verses, he says, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. We can do nothing in and of ourselves. Everything we do is only through his power that he works within us. So as we look in the days to come, start drilling down through the rest of these verses and see what armor he has for us to put on, know that first, before we even touch that armor, he's encouraging us, he's exhorting us, he's challenging us. Be strong in the Lord. So I want to leave you with that challenge today. Take some time to spend some time with the Lord and be strong in your walk with him today.